So, Last of Us, episode 9. It's over. It's done. No more. Um, I for one, I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad it's over. But to be fair, I enjoyed it. So, yeah. So as usual, what I want to do is we're gonna start with an episode 9 review, and then we could jump into a series review. That's cool with you guys.
Hmm?
And the series review is not like a fucking episode by episode. We'll just like talk about what we like, what we didn't like, things like that. So we're gonna start off with episode 9. I want to know what you guys thought. Quick review from each of you, and maybe a rating of what you thought of the episode itself, not the whole series. And we're gonna start with Josh.
Oh, come
What did you think, brother?
on. uh, Honestly, I didn't really like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just unconvinced about the whole, like, oh, that relationship conclusion. And, like, I don't know what it was about Joel talking so fucking much, but, like, he was just, I don't know. It's just after not really hearing him talk a whole lot, the guy couldn't stop simping out for 2 seconds. And Ellie actually looked super disinterested about it. I know she had whatever on her mind and shit, but, like, I don't know. Just the way it showed off immediately, just observing it bluntly, it's just, I don't know, it seemed like an obnoxious way to, like, begin the episode. It's just, and then eventually they get
Oh, okay.
taken.
You're talking
Yeah.
specific. You're not talking the entire episode. You're talking specifically the opening scene. Like, hey, I got some
Oh
Chef
yeah, my bad, my
Boyardee.
bad.
Or,
I should
okay.
be a lot more specific. My bad. Yeah, sorry. Like when it began, he just wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Hmm.
And like I was just so not used to listening to Joel talk that I was like, I said this to say when we were watching. I'm just like, why does he sound like he's from Wisconsin? And then like it seemed like his accent was a little off, and then he kept talking and talking and talking and talking, and then blah 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 blah. I don't know. I just was really disinterested in the episode. I had like zero problems getting up and doing other things. It's
Okay.
just that simple. Yeah. I was just turned off the entire fucking time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And anything else from you for the episode? Like, would you, like if you had to give it a
Oh,
rating
yeah,
or?
my bad. Oh man, I really, I was thinking about writing notes and I should have done it and then I didn't do it, so I apologize for this, but I am starting to remember things I wanted to take down. The scene where he was gunning down everybody, while it was interesting, I thought the music choice was a little,
Mm-hmm.
like it seemed like a somber way to just gun down the entire thing with apparently little to no resistance. And then the scene when he was like getting Ellie itself was actually, I actually really liked that one because it was like I thought it was kind of spot on in comparison to the game and the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or not the movie, the show. Yeah. But just I don't know. As a whole, I was just disinterested outside of obviously the action because Rambo and I. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I was
We
just
got our
disinterested in not.
Rambo scene.
Yeah, I was just a little disinterested, a lot disinterested, and I don't know, I was just unconvinced about like how a conclusion should be. Like when I'm starting to recall when I was playing the game, I was like, oh damn, this isn't like he made the choice, and I feel it because of the entire build up and everything. And then this one, he was just like, gets captured. Where's Ellie? You're the temper tantrum, and his temper tantrum was like, I don't know, it just. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Everything about it seemed very off to me. Like it just seemed off to me.
Okay.
And then then there's the action, and then the conclusion, and then I don't know.
Well,
I can't really say
no,
much
no, no,
about it.
need- no need to hide about the ending of it. You can actually talk about it if you want. And at this point, I hope people have seen it, and I put spoiler tags in their stream. So,
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Well, the end when like he obviously shoots everybody to a great musical piece, and then gets Ellie, and then shoots down Marlene and everything. Like that was cold blooded as hell, and I was like, okay, cool. But then like I don't know. I was just not convinced, so I didn't really get the feel I should have been getting,
okay.
at least in my opinion. Like I don't know. In reflection to the rest of the series, to that point, I didn't. I was a little underwhelmed with the conclusion of it.
Because of what you got so far, you expected more at the
Yeah,
end. Okay.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because it seemed very short, and like it was supposed to be one of the shorter episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it showed, and just I don't know. I was just turned off. Yeah, I could could to attest to it if she's here. Like
Hmm. Because
I was turned off.
say
I don't know what more to say.
say's watching it along with you, right?
Yeah.
And is she also a gamer?
Not like, us, but she definitely does game.
And
And I don't know if she played Last of Us or just watched. I don't know. I'm not familiar if
oh,
she
okay,
actually. I don't think
okay.
she actually played it
She
or seen it.
says no.
No.
Okay,
There you go.
so she's not a gamer.
So no, she's a
Say
gamer, but I don't think she played this game.
say sorry. Are you saying no to you didn't play The Last of Us? While she's answering, I wanted to know from you, Josh. What if you had to give it a rating? What would you give it?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
If you had to give us a rating for the episode, if you had to say out of 10, let's say, what would you give
A
it?
2. Okay, out of 10. Yeah. Honestly, like a 3. Like a 3, because
3 out
there
of
are
10.
some things I did like about it, because like it was kind of cool to see Joel, like his relentless mode of Terminator just going to I'm still not convinced about the music piece, but like the way he gunned it down and all that crap is just everything around that ticked me off. It just felt unconvinced and very simpy, and by simpy I mean like he wouldn't shut the fuck up like I'm not doing. And then yeah,
Okay.
it's just he seemed way too eager to be next, Dan.
All right. Before we skip on to the next one, so Sariella says how that she believes that the episode sucked and that the whole season sucked. So she was not a fan of this endeavor. So I'm still curious. I'm sorry. Did you play this game or not, Sariel? Sorry, I wanted to. Did you already know the story going in, or was it fresh for you also? Yeah. In the meantime, Danny, what you got? What did you think?
I guess I'm sort of mixed. I did like the episode, probably maybe a bit more than Josh, but I feel like it was just a cut and paste of the basically just of the game, just everything from when they started when they finished the whole winter season and they got to I don't even remember what the hell the city is, but when they get to the city, they follow through all the paces. It's like okay, they stayed faithful to the source material. But outside of that, yeah, like the action, whatever action scenes we end up finally getting are kind of lackluster, mediocre. Outside of what was it, episode five, where we get all the zombies
Yeah.
and all that was like the biggest and best set piece of the entire series, and like that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was a little disappointed. I don't know if you want me to go into like what like the whole series itself, or at least just, or
Oh
you
no,
want me
we'll
to just
dive
stick to
into
this
that
episode.
after. I just want to know what you thought of this episode, what you liked, what you didn't like, and
I
that kind of stuff.
I liked I liked the pretty much like Joshua said. I like the cold bloodedness of Joel, like how he was just like, yeah, I'm doing this because I want to save Ellie, and I could care less about the reasons, and just like basically going around gunning everyone, more or less like he did in the game. But like at least there was some good reason. But the build up to it just seemed like, oh, he did it because they did it in the game, not because there was some real good dynamic of the character. So it was cool to see that as them putting it in there, but it didn't seem the build up to it was kind of
Okay.
yeah.
So for you, the ending it wasn't earned in your opinion.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
that's
trying to
pretty
put words in
fair.
your
It
mouth. I'm
was
just trying to.
no, but that's pretty much a fair assessment. I thought it was nice again for them to do a video game adaptation. This is probably one of the better video game adaptations that they've done more recently. So kudos on them actually putting forth like
You?
no, yeah. As far as a video game adaptation, like it was fairly well done. But as far as it being like this is the best series and whatnot, it's like I've seen HBO do a lot better with far less, and this was kind of I feel like this is one of their lesser endeavors. And people are just kind of grasping on because it was like, oh, The Last of Us, it was such a great game, you have to check it out. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like I
Okay.
kind of feel sorry for yeah.
But there's one thing I want to mention, and I kind of want to challenge Daniel on your opinion here because in the past I've heard arguments of like they're changing a little too much, or it's not following the stories close enough because not enough zombie interactions. But
Yeah.
now your complaint is this episode is a little bit too much of a copy paste. So was this like this
Uh,
this mimicked the game too much, or was it not
no,
enough?
no, no. I had no problem with what they put in. I like that it was similar to the game, but it's all I'm talking about is that the build up to it was just kind of lackluster. Like I liked the like that they followed through. Like there was a nice scene with the giraffe and how Ellie was all excited from like the beginning part of it. That was really cool, and she was like probably even more excited in this than she was in the actual game. If you want to go like that kind of route, like it was nice how they had amped that up. But that would have been nice if they had amped up the rest of everything else about the relationship and everything else about it, rather than just putting in some of the episodes, like setting up some of the episodes that they did. And yeah, I think the pacing is really what kind of ruined the series for me.
Okay.
Like trying to compare both the game and the show entirely. I'm just talking about like what the setup for this whole show. Oh, Josh apparently split in two. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
It's been arranged. It's all planned.
yeah.
Oh, Josh, you get the middle screen.
Yeah, more room.
Damn it! I screwed up the order. Anyways, whatever.
Did Anna's Bananas catch all that though? If you were on break?
Yeah. I kept the sound going. I didn't.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Real quick before we jump in, want to present Ali of the Sun. Ali of for the Sun. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Of the Sun.
Ali of the Sun. I apologize. She'll be joining us today for the conversation. She's our special guest.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. So sorry, Josh, you wanted to mention something else.
No,
I'm sorry.
that was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Dan was going on whatever he's saying.
A rant. Okay.
Yeah.
I was ranting, damn it.
All right, Danny, I don't think you gave the episode a number, right? You didn't give it a rating yet.
Oh no, I didn't. I don't know. I wouldn't give it a 3. I would probably give it at least like maybe more of a 7, a 6, 6.5.
Wow. That's quite the contrast.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's.
I didn't think it was a great episode. I think it was a fun episode. I think it was pretty cool for the way they went, but I don't think it was a great episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough.
I'll give a different rating. Believe me, there's gonna be a different rating for the whole season as opposed to what
Okay.
the episode was.
All right, we will get there. All right, so Joe, I wanted to move on to you next to hear what you had to say about episode 9.
I'm telling you right now, I'll give it a 5 on 5. I
asked this guy to give ratings out of 10. He gives a 5 on 5. He just has to go against the
5 on
grain.
5 on 10. 5 on 10.
Yeah, 5 on 5. 5 on 5.
He plays by his own rules.
5 on 5. All right.
A 5 on 5 for the connection I found that Joel finally had with Ellie.
You guys are way too easily impressed.
No, I was really. That's what I wanted to see. As someone seeing it from both ends, I wanted to like the whole series for me was I wanted to see more than what the video game had. But before I dive into that, like I just found that it was weird. We know that it's going into winter, but there was no transition. It was just like boom, it's spring all of a sudden. And my wife's turning to me going, "Wait, where are they? What time is this? It was just winter last episode." And it's like they didn't even take the time to make that transition. And that was the first inkling of the whole episode being like rushed. And the first note we get of that is when we see the episode is only 43 minutes, 42 minutes. And I'm like, oh, they're really going to rush this? Like we waited all season for this. We waited till the last episode for this. So right away, my expectations were really low. You were right. Not Josh, you nailed it on the head. Joel was talking way too much. He could have toned it down. And that accent, where did it go? So I have nothing to say with that.
Right?
Except,
wait, where's Joel? Sorry to interrupt. Where's Joel supposed to be from?
Texas.
Why the fuck did he sound like he's from Wisconsin?
Well, that's it. And it's funny that you mentioned it because I thought about that, and I'm like, nah, it's just me. It's just me. I have to go back, and he's doing fine. Then you mentioned it, so I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. But that interaction he had with her, that whole like my reason for going on, that's what was missing from the video game, and that's what I enjoyed about it. But if you're not into the video game, you might not catch it. You might not. You might catch it. You might not. You might feel it. You might not. For me, I was happy with that. Just seeing that in the episode was good enough for me. Everything else, the giraffes were cool. And then from that point on, I think they just did it like frame for frame from the video game. And then the montage was so weak. Why would you take? You've got your AK-47 assault rifle. Why would you take the broken one? He had two choices. You see, and the camera for some reason focused on that gun, on that AR-15 for however long, and he ends up taking the one-shotter. why would you do that? Like that again, very weird. And then he ends up dropping it and grabbing it anyways, which is fine because in the video game you have to get to that point, and that's the newest weapon you get because you have no way of upgrading it. That's just the special weapon you get in the last stages. So it's fine, but it was too easy. Like, were all the bad guys just dumb? Like, the guy shoots around the corner, and then he's like, he waits, and then he shoots him because he has all the ammo. It's like, okay. And at that point, exactly. And then the doctor scene was good, and everything else was just cookie cutter. There was nothing extra except for the ending, which was annoying because she says, okay, whatever her line, and then I'm already seeing the next episode. Because Disney has that, HBO has that thing, and even Netflix, where like they'll show you the last 2 minutes of the episode while they're trying to like push every other episode in your face. So like you couldn't even get the effect. I mean, I didn't. I lost it because the scene just cut to the corner, and for the last 3 seconds of her like looking and whatever, and how it ends and the music and everything is stuck in the corner. And meanwhile, I'm watching the next preview. So that just ruined it for me because like there was no impact of like boom and then the music starts. So. The episode itself for me was a 5 on 10, 5 on 5 for the interaction of Ellie and Joel, but that's it. Like I'm, like that director, I forget his name again. I'll never watch anything he directs again because he clearly did not care, or they just, I don't know what they were trying to do. Like if I want to watch the DLC, if I want to watch the clips, I'll go on YouTube and say all clips uninterrupted, Last of Us. Let me watch that. That was more.
What I'll say about the director Craig Manzin for this episode, producer, whatever you want to call him, I agree with what you're saying. But if you want to give something a shot that belongs to him and is an HBO property, check out Chernobyl. I think it's pretty good, and it was rated very well. Chernobyl.
That's where they make all 3-wheeled cars
and fish, 3-eyed fish. I wanted to know, Ali, did you want to give us right now we're just doing episode 9 reviews. Did you want to jump into that, or did you want to wait to jump in for like an entire series review? How'd you want to do it?
Mine, it's up to you.
Okay, let's hear what you got for episode 9. Remember, for the viewers, this is coming from the perspective of someone who hasn't played the game, doesn't know the story at all. So all this is brand new to her.
Yeah, so for me, like, I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, wow, I can't wait for season 2 type of ending. Like, it didn't end on a cliffhangers where a lot of other shows do, where you can't wait for the next episode and you're like already on your phone looking up like, when is the next episode coming out? When is the next season coming out? It didn't leave me like that. And the giraffe for me was just, I just didn't get it. It was like, she's like all excited and she's like running around like, oh my god, Joel, look at this. And then there's a giraffe and I'm just like I even looked at Joe and I'm like, why are there giraffes? Like, what is going on? What part is this in the game? Like, what's the goal here? Like, it just felt weird. And like, at the very beginning of the episode, Ellie was so cold to Joel, and Joe was like the happy-go-lucky, like super talkative to her, and like, come on, Ellie, let's go. It's like they did like a full 180, both of them. And it was just like, okay, yes, I understand what Ellie went through the last episode, but why is Joel now this person that he hasn't been this whole show?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just weird.
It's
Okay.
so true.
And okay, and so that was your main issues with the show. What was the main thing that you did like?
Did?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I didn't like it.
It's an 8 out of 10. I don't know what I like. Sorry.
No, but like the story behind it is cool, and like to see how much like they do care for each other and everything, and like how he like literally killed everybody in that building to save Ellie. I mean, it shows how much he obviously cares about her and everything, but it's other than like their love for each other and like the kind of badass scene of Joel just like absolutely obliterating all the idiots that clearly don't know how to shoot guns or do anything. Like, that was cool, but other than that, I guess it wasn't that great.
Bananas chimed in, and she's saying to comfort her, and I'm assuming she's addressing the fact that Ellie was cold and Joel switched over to happy-go-lucky.
Nah, Joel was happy because Ellie murdered somebody. First time and everything. That's why.
But then he's like a sick father.
Finally.
If
Kills
you,
people.
if you had to give an episode a rating, so you gave it an 8 out of 10, does that stand still?
Okay, maybe we'll go to like 7.
Okay, I wasn't asking you to change, I was just asking, that's all.
Okay.
Fair enough. If it's okay, I wanted to ask you a little bit more precise questions because you're coming into it with fresh eyes. And guys, feel free to jump in and correct me if I'm wrong or if you want to add to it. So I wanted to know the situation when you find out what they were about to do to Ellie and Joel wakes up in the hospital. Was that in any way a surprise to you? Did you see that coming? Was it a gut punch? How did you feel in that moment?
I mean, my mother is a nurse, right? So we kind of both looked at each other like, you don't have to be put on like life support or anything for brain surgery. You could very easily do brain surgery without needing, quote unquote, that much like medical supplies. So why she would have to die to get like the little chemical whatever out is just kind of weird for me because it's not cardiac surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, was it a surprise? Not really. I mean, if it wasn't a hi Christina.
Alice makes us happy.
But I mean,
Yeah, we can see you right in the corner there.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Good job, guys. You guys are doing awesome.
Oh. Thank you.
They say thanks.
I mean, like, if it didn't happen, if she didn't get like, oh, like we're about to kill you to get this cure, like I feel like it would have been like this whole mission would have kind of been for nothing.
Okay.
Because then it's like, well, I don't know. Like it's you expect it to go wrong somewhere.
Okay. So, and I wanted to know, what did you think about the absolute end? So you said, like, you thought personally there was no cliffhanger. The end didn't do anything for you at all?
Honestly, I zoned out.
Oh.
I was on my phone for the last few minutes. They were like having like
the whole thing.
I think they were having
the last part.
sort of they were having like a heart to heart or something. Like I remember them being in the car and he like lied to her or whatever, and I think she asked him like, can you promise me that like what you're telling me is true or something like that? But like
and
I mean,
for you that scene didn't do
I have to interject. I have to say that this is exactly what every episode is. You go in saying, "Wow, it was cool," and then you remember it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, it wasn't that good of an episode." No. So I think Allison nailed it for all of us.
Okay. And Ananas Banana says, I agreed with the no cliffhanger because most likely there wasn't supposed to be a part 2 anyways. Yeah. Yeah, like I remember when I played the game and I finished it, I thought, that's it. I'm not getting a sequel to this. That's it. That's the end of this. I'm not going to see any more of it. But then they decided to...
Ooh, no, I disagree with that a little bit, actually, because I was curious to know if there was anybody else. Like, you have a group of Fireflies, there's bound to be somebody who isn't there. And, like, would they know what's happening? Like, it seems a little off that a leader of the Fireflies would put everything in one basket like that without somebody else knowing in the background.
Well, that's the whole plot
at the end
point
of
throughout the entire show and game. Is that the reason why
Yeah,
they
but
keep
I'm
moving
saying
is because
when I
the Fireflies
saw
keep moving.
when I said like what's it? When I finished the first game, I'm like, no, there's no possible way that all this could happen without something else happening. You know what I mean? Like your leader just went out and then didn't come back. Ellie didn't come back, and Joel didn't come. Like, you know what I mean? Like people didn't come back. There's going to be questions that then go figure. The second Last of Us 2 happened.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. And clearly the characters of that game know what happened. So
yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that, like, yeah. When the first game ended, I for sure thought that there'd be something else, just because I guess maybe I watched too many movies or something.
I have to ask, the golf player she was part of the Fireflies?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Did you even know that? I didn't even play the second game.
I didn't really pay
I didn't play it, but I
I-
did my homework on
I'm
it.
joking. No, I really didn't play it, but I'm joking. I'm just mocking. I'm just joking.
So if I could, real quick, I'm just gonna mention my 2 cents about the episode. For me, right off the bat, it's 8.5 out of 10. It was an episode I enjoyed a lot. To me, the strongest episode of the series. I can't think of an episode that I enjoyed more than this one. My biggest gripe is that it's at a breakneck pace. It's a wee bit too fast. Episode's way too short on top of that. So the opening scene, you're right, Joe. There's no transition. In the game, there's transitions all over the place. Summer this year, fall this year. In the show, for some reason, they just didn't go that route. They decided to just, let you figure it out. Ellie being cold, Joel being lighthearted, and that kind of stuff, to me, imitates the game 100%. It was spot on. That's exactly what happened in the game. You as the character, I don't know if you remember this, but when you were playing that scene, Ellie wouldn't speak to you. You had to actually walk up to her, and it would prompt you to speak to her. And as a player, you can choose to not talk to her. And while I was playing the game, I wanted to talk to her. I hit that button every time. I wanted to know what they were going to say. So to me, I thought that was well portrayed in the show for that second. The one thing that surprised me, and I won't lie, I think it fits this version of Joel, because this is not the version of Joel we got in the game. We can all agree to that. Was the moment when he opened up while they were in the QZ in Salt Lake City or whatever it is before they got captured. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this was in the game, but Joel tried to commit suicide.
Not in the game.
Yeah.
No, in the game,
he didn't.
In the game, he didn't. That was never talked about, at least. And when he opened up about that to Ellie, to me, it aligns with the character that they created for the show. Like they picked a path, they committed, and they stuck with it. So I kind of appreciate that, but it is a different Joel than what we got in the game.
Yeah, the Joel in the game would have never committed suicide.
No.
The Joel in the game was more gritty, more closed off, and just was doing his own thing for the sake of just doing his own thing. Whereas this one, he seemed more like a broken man.
Yeah, exactly. He is a broken man in this show. A lot of parts of him are missing, and he has anxiety attacks and all kinds of stuff. But I think for TV land, that kind of makes sense, the way they chose to portray him. Because remember, this story takes place 20 years after Sarah died, right? He was like in his early 30s when Sarah passed away. So he's 50 at this point, and in the game too. Like, to me, it makes sense. It makes sense that he broke his knuckle when he punched a guy on the helmet, It makes sense to me. It makes sense that his knees are killing him when he's running up these flights of stairs. Like, the physicality of Joel, to me, makes sense. So, I kind of agreed with it. The fact that he was tired and a younger man overpowered him in the store and was about to choke him out,
Yeah, and malnourished. Remember, this is post-apocalyptic. They're not eating what they should be eating. They're not going to the doctor. They're not getting... so it does make sense, 100%.
But
Plus he's popping all kinds of pills.
Not because of his age. He's in physical good form. He kept in good shape. It was just, when you don't have the nutrition you need, then obviously things are going to go bad. And obviously,
because again, like if you were to contrast Joel from the game to the TV show, which I've been doing a lot, is like Joel in the if I were to see Joel in the video game and he's always limping and he's always too tired to sprint, or his hands busted and he can't shoot properly, he's always swaying, it would fucking annoy me. I was like, yo, where's that goddamn health kit? Where can I fix him up? That's my reaction as a gamer. But when you're watching a TV show, you can see the character going through these things better, Whereas in a video game, your character needs to seem a little more invincible so that you as a player know you're okay to progress. You know what I mean? So, so I think this Joel for the TV show fit, even though I wish they had made him a little more tough. About the episode, the other thing that a disappointment that I had was, and this was something that you guys, I'm surprised no one mentioned, is that before they get to the hospital, there's an entire scene where they need to dodge bloaters and clickers in a tunnel. And then they almost drown before getting there. And when Joel gets knocked out, his first thought is, oh my god, did Ellie drown in that bus under the water right before we got picked up by the Fireflies, Whereas now he just wakes up in the hospital, like, what's going on? Where am I? Am I stoned? And, it was just, I thought that was a little off.
But they changed that. That was the one thing they changed on how they met the Fireflies, but I figured they had no choice to do that because 40 minutes.
Right. They had a breakneck pace. They had to rush it, and that if they had to add an extra 10 minutes, just add the scene. Just it was the last episode. Just add the goddamn infected. Just show me them sneaking through the tunnel. There was that opening scene with Ashley Johnson.
They might have had a budget. They might have said, we want to remake this, and they said, okay, you can do this, but here's your budget, and maybe you have to cut parts. Doing live action, not to cut you off, Waz, but doing live action scenes of shooting and making action shots and whatever, that costs a lot of money, because now you have special effects. You have, they didn't use any smoke bombs. He didn't use any stealth.
No.
In the whole series, because the whole game is about stealth. So I mean that costs money. Special effects cost money.
I disagree a little bit with this, actually.
Of course
Of course I do. Fuck that. Because in the game, you also run into a lot of zombies, whatever, infected, and you also run into like a lot of survivors trying to kill you. In the show, you're running into like key people and having key encounters with infected. So it's not overly surprising to me that they didn't really put it in the show on the last episode, because I mentioned this the previous episode that it would have been cool if they had the underground shit and the horde and the bloaters, not the subway thing, but I did mention this and they didn't put it, and it doesn't really shock me because they wanted to focus on Ellie and Joel's relationship that I still fail to see, and they wanted to focus on the whole Kira thing and the Fireflies. They wanted to focus on the human aspect. They didn't give a fuck about everything else.
No, of course.
Otherwise, you would have seen it more in the show to begin with.
No, but I'm agreeing with you, Josh, because I'm saying on the TV side of it, they probably just had a budget and said, okay, you want to do this show, no problem. You're a B-class director. We're just giving you this much money. So he probably had to cut that out, because any scenes, any fighting scenes or whatever, that costs money. Just getting it right the first time, second time, you got to reset the props. In a talking scene, when you're just talking to your enemies and just doing a montage, is a lot cheaper to do than, say, okay, take this scene 4 or 5 times. Okay, great. And the editing is a lot easier than like, okay, you've got to jump from here. You got to jump from there. We need the special effects guy. We need the stunt double. So maybe they had to cut there and said, okay, well, we're going to just cut on all the action scenes and we're going to make it more story driven. It could have been a thing of just budget. To
be honest, I don't know. I don't fully side with the budget. You could be absolutely right, but it's just how I perceive the rest of the show in correspondence to this. I don't really think it was a budget thing. I think it was just focusing on the matters at hand instead of trying to actually entertain people with stuff that was in the game.
And before I continue with my wrap up of episode 9, I just want to mention Lazy Llama mentions that every episode that they watched, I wanted to like, but I have no interest in watching season 2. There was no flow in the final episode actually for me, and it was a 4 on 10. She was hoping for more.
Oof. I agree, except she gave it higher than I did.
So
I think the problem with like the length of the episode is that episode 1, like I have it in front of me, was 81 minutes long.
Yeah.
The last episode was 43.
Yeah.
So why did they make the first one 81 minutes and the last episode is the shortest episode out of all of them?
Yeah, that's messed up stuff.
Well, I saw that also.
Like, they could have dove into it more, and like for you guys, especially as people who saw the game, I mean, for me, like the tunnel zombies things, that would have been really cool to see, because were there even any zombies in the last episode?
One.
No,
the one
actually,
that attacked Ellie's mom at the beginning.
Yeah, and that was a flashback. It wasn't even in like
That was the
current.
I actually forgot about that, and that was actually cool to see how Ellie was born.
It was actually cool to see
unnecessary.
Ellie, the actual voice actor.
Exactly.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But all that did was solidify Marlene's attachment at the end. To be like, don't worry, like this is hard for me too, because I was there when she was born. Yeah, but you wanted to kill her. So regardless.
Well, there's that, and we see, as a viewer, we see the connection between Ellie and Joel. We don't see the connection between Marlene and Ellie. We saw them at the beginning when Marlene's like, Joel, take her. And we see her at the end where she's like, okay, I'll have her now. Can I kill her?
Well,
that's it.
Yeah.
What doesn't add up to me a little bit is, like, maybe Marlene found out that Ellie was bitten, I guess, or something, when she met Riley, and that's why she chained her up. It just didn't make sense to me how she was treating Ellie in episode 1, how she was chained up, and all kinds of crap when you supposedly.
Well,
care
has she
about this
been
person.
chained up since she was born?
But
Like,
But anyways, so yeah, so episode 9 wrap up for me. The shooting montage, yeah, I thought it was meh. It was nice to see Joel finally get his shooting on. To me, it was like the montage in No Time to Die. It was just lazy and slapped together, and it was meh. It was okay. Um, I have to disagree with Josh on one point. The music, I actually liked, and the reason why is because when I think of that scene in the game, it's actually the song that plays in that moment.
That's fair.
So it resonated with me. It was like, okay, that's pretty cool that they did that. I like that. You know, so the music
fair.
resonated with me in that scene.
Well,
Um,
I feel like it might have been a game versus TV thing for me, because like in the game you're submersed in killing people, but I see it in the show kind of. I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but to see it in the show, it seems a little less impactful if you're not the one doing the shooting.
yeah, and the other thing was for me again something that some of you might disagree with me on is that I finally enjoyed the episode. Was finally about Joel and Ellie. It was finally about their relationship developing a little bit, and this is what I wanted since episode 1 or episode 2 at least, and we haven't gotten it. And we finally got a taste of it. I enjoyed it down to the end when he found Ellie on the table, and he told her unhook her right now, and he ripped out the thing and she started bleeding. He's like, cover her arm right now, like stop that bleeding, you know. Like it just showed that he gave a shit. Like he wanted them to do something to stop this. So I appreciated it, and like you guys said, the end is a copy paste of the game, 100%, every line. Once again, my issue is the deadpan face acting of Bella Ramsey. It's fucking boring. I can't stand it. Like when she delivered that last line, I was so fucking mad. But I was like, look, because I remember when I heard that line in the game, when she was like, swear to me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true. And then he says, I swear. And then she looks at him and she says, okay. You can see so much emotion on a fucking Polygon character. But in the TV show, she's just stone face. And I don't know why. Like, you're allowed to have expression.
probably because she's trying to show the viewers maybe that she has, like, doubt about, like, how she actually believes him or not.
And was that conveyed to you as a person who didn't know the story?
I don't know, I was on my phone.
Oh, right. Sorry. But you see, when I played the game, that was the impression I got at the end. When Ellie said okay, I was like, she didn't buy that. She doesn't believe him.
But yeah, but at the same time, Bella's expressions on her face are not the most expressive, and per se, the just she's got a specific characteristic to her face. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but I was just like her. Some people are better at making facial expressions than others. I mean,
even on Game of Thrones, her character was a very, like, she was like the queen of whatever place she was, and she always has like a straight, serious face. So even in Game of Thrones, her acting, like her emotions and stuff, she didn't have to do that a lot on there. Whereas this show, she would have to, and maybe she fell like short on that.
B-class actress. That's all. That's all it is.
Should have had a giant after.
B-class director.
I just want to
with an A-class story.
I just want to catch up with the chat. Sorry. So Lazy Llama mentioned that maybe she'll just have to play the game now, and I think that's what this will do. I think people will watch this and say, you know what, maybe it's time to play the game. Hopefully.
What's the new one on PC is coming out. I totally want to play it.
It's coming out. I think that's what this was. It was a giant teaser.
No, it is out actually.
Ananas Banana says the last episode should have been at least 90 minutes. But for the first episode, I think it was pretty cool how they explained how the virus happened. Actually, they didn't explain that. They explained that in the second episode. I didn't remember the ending of the game where Joel lied to her, but I believed it in the TV show. Okay, well there you go. Christina M9 mentions, I totally agree with Ananas. I told PT it's probably 2 hours long and was disappointed when it was so short.
I think that was a joke we made in the house too. It's like, oh, get ready, get your popcorn. We're gonna be here for a while. We like start the episode 40 minutes. Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind.
Absolutely. So for me, that's my quick rundown of the episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm gonna say right now, my favorite episode of the entire series so far, and that's pretty much it. So gonna open this up for discussion now. So take it away, whoever wants to go with it. I want to know what you think overall now. Whoever wants to go first. Whoever wants to talk about it.
Okay, I'll go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Overall,
volunteer tribute.
I'm gonna what?
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, it's tribute. Honestly, overall, This episode was maybe let's say my second favorite, and my first favorite episode was the Bill episode.
Okay.
Just because that's the character, and every other mini scene that was explained that wasn't in the video game. That's what I enjoyed about this season, this episode, this series. Sorry, because of being a fan of the game. That's it. I'm glad to see little content that they added. I didn't think what they added was unnecessary or over the top or whatever. I'm not talking about the little changes they did for the hive mind and the fungus being a hive mind thing versus individual. That stuff was okay. They went nowhere with that, so whatever. But the little interactions with the characters, the extra we got with the characters. So that's why Bill is my favorite episode, because it went into full depth of his story, and I enjoyed his character in the video game. So for me, that's episode that I prefer. My favorite, last one. That's it.
I have to kind of disagree with the third episode. I kind of found it outside of just like, oh cool, we get this new interaction with these new characters. It didn't really add much to the whole series.
You know
what?
This is my opinion. What I got out of the show. So for me, I had to watch the whole thing to just get this, which is still disappointing. I mean, that's probably across the board for all of us.
I thought it was a good. I'm not disagreeing that it wasn't a good episode. It was a good episode, but like, did it really belong in Last of Us?
It didn't add anything.
It didn't really add anything. It just added, it's like, okay, cool. We got this whole story with another character, and they devoted the entire time, and they made this whole beautiful story with those two characters. But then they forgot about Joel and Ellie, which was like the main whole crux of it. It's like, hey, we got a show about Joel and Ellie and their story. All right, let's focus on Bill and Frank.
And episode 3 was the second longest episode at 75 minutes. So we know a lot about Bill and everybody, but the zombies and everything that like is supposed to be happening, like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Josh, you agree with Joe? You like episode 3?
Okay, as an episode, yeah. If I had to say as a series as a whole, and I have to say episode 3 would be in there because it was genuinely a good episode. And it had the best pacing fucking show. I can't stand the pacing in this stupid show, bro. Like, episode 9 should have been at least half of the story of the first game. Or whatever. Like, it should have been longer, in my opinion. There should have been more stuff. Like, the last episode should have had the zombies and the tunnel and the stuff and more giraffes and all that crap, and explain maybe why a giraffe, and maybe because there's a fucking zoo nearby. I don't know. Something. But, like, just the pacing I thought was horseshit. And outside of technically 1, 3, and 5, I wasn't really a huge fan of it. Like, I thought the pacing was the relationship to me was the zombies or the lack thereof was pretty like, if I had to rate the entire series, I would probably rate it a 6, because I like the fact that at least it was accurate enough for me to like it enough to want to watch it. But I wouldn't really go, man, you should see The Last of Us, because, damn, it's pretty awesome. Like, it's not something I don't think I would have said. I would have went, like, you could watch it, I guess, if you want. But there's also the game. You should play the game. I would definitely suggest just playing the game. Because, like, I don't know. I've seen other shows of the like with relationships or with zombies, sometimes with both. And I was a lot more convinced with that than I was with anything in this show. And it's a little disappointing to me because I like Pedro Pascal, and I thought it's kind of one of his weaker performances.
Yeah, absolutely. Allison, overall for you?
Well, because I don't know the game or anything, right? So for me, the show itself was probably like a 4 or 5 out of 10. I'm not really excited for another season. The only reason I was watching it is because Joe wanted to watch it. I think the most exciting episode for me that was like kept me on my toes, I think it was episode 2. Was it episode 2 when they're like finally leaving the place and they have to like hide around because the zombies are like trying to chase them in the building, and they're like, oh, shh, be quiet and everything. It was like that, like it was suspenseful, like it felt like, oh, like shit, you know, like they're gonna get caught, like come on guys, you got this, you know. But that was the only episode where I really felt like I was invested and was like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen, like, you know. Whereas like episode 3, the Bill episode, I didn't get it. I was like, oh, cute, an old gay couple. What are they gonna do? And then, oh, never mind, they're dead.
How will they
For
play
what?
into the story? Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it just felt unnecessary. Like, they could have used those 75 minutes from that episode to, like, show us more of the zombies and more of the, like, gore and whatever, you know? Like, show us more of the adventure. Don't
Okay.
show us past characters. I guess for me, as someone who never saw the game, I don't really care about Bill.
Okay. So, just to sum up real quick, I want to make sure, Josh, you gave it a you gave it a 6 out of 10. So for you, it would be a recommend for people, or no?
Are you asking me or her?
No, you.
Me? No.
Yeah, not a recommend. And for Ali, it's a 4 out of 10. So most likely, probably not a recommend, right?
No, I mean, watch it if you want, but like, I mean, you could also watch like World War Z, which is a movie, and you'll get much more effect out of that if you want to see zombies. I mean,
Okay. And I want to hear from Danny and Joe. So, Danny, if you had to give it a rating and a recommend, what would you say?
Yeah, I'd probably have to give it about a 5. It's, I don't know, as an introduction to, like, if you want to see what maybe the game was about or whatnot, I'd say maybe check out the game itself. But like, if it's too much of a long thing to go through, you can kind of get like the half-ass version if you watch the series.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it was missing. It was missing a lot of stuff. I didn't like so much that Joel was. I didn't mind the whole broken man story with Joel, but I didn't really like it too much. I kind of missed a little bit more grittier, and he felt like there was. It felt like there was something nicer with Joel being grittier and turning that whole side of things, whereas he was just a broken man and just he got better.
Okay.
I don't know. There's something about something about the whole turning around from that whole perspective. Just it felt more genuine in the game than it did in the series.
Understood. And Joe, for you?
I think overall for both video game goers and people who have never played the video game, I think the series itself is just a 6 on 10. There are better series out there. For people who have not seen it and they are gamers and they enjoy the game, I think as fans of the game, true fans of the games, you're gonna watch it either way. You don't have to put it on your list. It can wait. You can wait a bit. Don't for someone who's never seen the game, there's better series out there. I think 6 on 10 overall for both sides. That's my final answer.
And Banana says, I didn't really want to see more of the zombies, but more about life after the virus, the fireflies, that the QZ and how it fell, and etc. Okay, fair enough.
I still disagree with that sentiment, actually, because you're bound to see zombies, because,
well, it's post-apocalyptic. That's what it is.
like, it's cool to focus on things, but they're always going to be a threat. It's like assuming, like, oh, cool, a nuke came off, like, a little bit that way. We're never going to have to worry about that again. Well, yeah, you are. You're going to have to deal with the fallout. You're going to have to deal with everything. It's like you're still going to always have to deal with the cause of the outbreak, or not the outbreak, but the pandemic or whatever the fuck's going on. So to have no zombies is just unrealistic to me.
Yep.
I mean, it's realistic in the episodes where they're like in the forest and whatever, because it's not a populated area, right? And I think they even said it at some point, like, oh, we're like in a populated area, we're in the city, so like there's bound to be zombies, whatever. But then they're in the city and there's giraffes, no zombies. Like, why aren't the giraffes zombies?
That's
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you see half-eaten animals all over the place.
It was all the lions.
So for me, I think I'm sitting at a 6 on 10 for this also. But for me, it's a recommend for people that aren't fans of the game or that don't know the game. And for people that are fans of the game, I would say, yeah, you can either skip it or just like speed through it or watch it later on, whatever. It's really not a rush. Overall, for me, it was okay. For me, my favorite episode is episode 9. My weakest episode would probably be episode 7, Riley. Didn't enjoy that episode. The pacing was boring and nothing happened. And Bananas gives it a 6 or 6.5 out of 10. She just has to edge me out. 6.5. Yeah.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
here's the thing about the zombies is, you know what? The show could definitely use more infected, obviously. But like, okay, I can ask this question to Danny because he knows my gaming style. He knows the games I play and that kind of stuff. How many zombie games do I play, Danny?
Honestly, not that many.
None. I haven't even played Left 4 Dead.
The only other game, yeah, that's true. The only other game that I could say is maybe zombie-ish was Dead Space.
That's it. That's the only thing.
That's
It was
about
the
it.
only thing I've ever played. And the reason why I played The Last of Us is because it's a character game for me. It's about people. Like the show is called The Last of Us. It's not called The Walking Dead. It's not called Shaun of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. It's not Infected Dead.
You
For
were
me-
too far off with Shaun of the Dead too.
For me, it's called The Last of Us,
You
which
know,
is
that-
about the human
That just
interaction.
clicked. That just clicked. So that just clicked.
So for me, that's why I think they try to focus more on the story elements and the people versus the infected, because that's also what I got from the game. It's just that the game's a game, so obviously you beat the crap out of a shit ton of infected also along the way.
Yeah,
Or sneak
they
around
could
it.
have just made the game at that point like they could have been like, oh yeah, there was a zombie pandemic, but all the zombies are dead, and now we're trying to rebuild, and just kept it with people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. To think a
Well,
sport.
that's it, because, like, why is the title The Last of Us? Like, there's a reason why it's The Last of Us. What happened?
Exactly, and the
Yeah.
show
Why
the show for some
telling us-
reason the show
Yeah,
chose
and
not
it was
to
like-
explore that. I don't know why.
Yeah, but the whole zombie thing is like, isn't it like a sport thing?
Not in the show.
Yeah.
No, well, it wasn't in the
They're
show.
supposed-
In the game, it was.
Yeah. Well, regardless, like the infected, they came from spores. It's not like it would just happen in Toronto and stay in Toronto, and then the whole world is fine. You're gonna see it, regardless. As long as there's a human populace, regardless, you're gonna see it at least somewhere. So to think that there's absolutely no infected is just naive, and then to think that you shouldn't see infected is also naive.
I wrote down a couple of nitpicks that I had, like things that I noticed about the overall show that bothered me, and I hate it when TV shows do this. Is when they introduce something strictly for that episode and then never address it again. Fucking hate that.
You're talking about the freaking the hive mind.
The hive mind, the dumbest fucking thing
Oh,
they could have
fuck
ever
that.
introduced.
I personally
Why
think
even
it's because
introduce
Pedro complained that he was going to have to he was going to be in another series with a mask, and he didn't want to do it.
Or Disney told him he couldn't do it. But to be honest, the hive mind thing, the fact that they didn't play that out is stupid. It took away risk. I mean, just breathing could have gotten you infected. They took it away for some reason.
That would have been so much better.
and-
Like so
No
much.
kidding.
Yeah,
You know how many times you would see the spore collection, you'd be like, "Ooh, I can't walk through that."
exactly. In the game, you'd be like, I can't walk through that dust cloud.
Like,
No.
why would you have that? At least it would build suspense. Like the show lacks suspense to me. It lacks urgency.
Yes.
Even for the fact that they're trying to find a cure, to like, I guess we could find a cure eventually. Like,
So they did that, and the only reason they introduced the hive mind in episode 2 is because it showed up in episode 2. The fucking zombie on the floor woke up mommy and daddy and all their cousins, and they all ran towards Tess and then sucked face. Great, and then we never heard about it again. And so I hate it when TV does that, when it just introduces something and then it never addresses it again. They introduced Joel being deaf in one ear in episode 5 or 4, and because he was deaf in one
4,
ear, he didn't hear Sam and Henry sneak up on him. Never showed up again, his deaf ear. It's like there's no more consequence to that. I hate it when TV shows do things like that and don't commit to it. Like that's a character flaw that you need to develop on.
do you think the deaf ear thing would have mattered so much afterwards? If you like, he's not sleeping in a location where he could be jumped. Do you think it would have been useful to really bring up again?
Well, what about the hospital scene where there's like people coming around you from all angles? Like, how would he know to turn certain ways to like go shoot them? Like all
You know
that.
what, they could have used that for when they got captured. Maybe that was the whole thing. He didn't hear the guy sneak up and toss the grenade.
That would be, well, the ting would be pretty loud, but yeah.
No, I mean
Ting.
like the ting part. Yeah, like you would have heard that, but I mean like the guy sneaking up and then lobbing the thing.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
Elliot
it
was
was
just not
okay,
really in that moment, but
To say it's like a thing that shouldn't be brought up, it was pretty well brought up, at least in that thing, because, well, it was
No,
the
but
reason why
but
it got captured.
you know what I'm saying?
Kinda
It was brought up strictly to use it the very next second. You know what I mean?
Shows do that all the time,
Yeah.
though.
But that bothers me that they change.
Oh,
things,
right,
like,
yeah,
introduce,
'cause TV, yeah,
like they shove
saying,
things
yeah,
in
yeah.
and they don't commit to it. Like they don't have it play again as a consequence later on. Like I thought for sure the hive mind, the fact that they were a hive mind was a threat to me. I was like, okay, so
Exactly.
so you notify one of them, the rest of them are coming. That's not true at all.
There's been like at least like 2 or 3 scenarios that has happened where there was a zombie that woke up that attacked people, and then you don't see any more zombies.
So,
was it really a hive? Was it really a hive mind, like a hive mind, or was it like a hive mind where they just have to be attached to something, kind of like a spider web?
I think it was more of a spider web thing.
Yeah, I think it was
more of a spider web thing.
Because it gave me that Lord of the Rings vibe, you know, when they encountered the spider.
Do we have time for one more question, or
one more is good?
I will allow one more question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Almighty.
Now this question is not particularly fair for Ali, because she didn't play the game. But I wanted to know, because obviously we have a lot to say about the show that we didn't like, right? But I wanted to know from you guys, what was one thing that that the show either nailed it, like it did it correctly, or did it better than the game?
I find that they could have at least had a golf club at the end to have a little bit of foreshadowing for us.
No, I don't want complaining. I want to hear good things.
Like Joel finds a golf club site. He's like, "Oh, this is a really nice club."
You know, that, like, I really fucking hate golf. I fucking hate golf.
Anybody? Nothing?
I don't know, the scene where he he's looking for Ellie and he's like, I need you to point on the map. That was awesome. That was good. There was nothing I think that they did better. Everything was like,
I could say one thing. I think that they literally did the draft scene the best part.
Better than the game.
Better than the game. I'm sorry, it's just because of like I kept on saying it's like I want them to do the draft scene good. I want them to do the draft scene good.
They did do the draft scene good. Were those real drafts though?
I liked it better than the game.
Name was Nabo.
It was real draft.
What?
It was real. It was Nabo.
The giraffe's name was Nabo. It was a real giraffe.
It was a real giraffe. Actually, it's funny. I saw a picture of the making of that scene. Everything is fake except for the giraffe. The whole set's blue.
I'm just gonna say I definitely like the bloater death in the show more than the game, just because I'm a little bit of a gore hound sometimes. So it was just super cool to me to see like the lead up where he started to stretch the mouth, and that's pretty much what you see in the game. But then in the background of the show, the guy's just like rah and like tears off his head, and I was like, oh, that's so fucking cool. Like I didn't expect they would actually show it. I thought they would expect it like how it happens in the game, that.
And that is Banana
But no,
says she likes the origin story and likes the 2 Indians. That's racist. Don't say that.
2 natives.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But no, I was gonna say the thing that I enjoyed the most, that it was something they added to the game, and I thought they did it made it better than the game for me, was that they kind of explored where the virus came from. There was like a scene in Malaysia. They were exploring where the virus came from, what happened, what they're gonna do.
Oh yeah.
Like when I saw that, I was actually intrigued. I wanted to know more. I wanted to keep going.
Well, that's it. They had all these scenes, and this is why we're complaining so much, because they had all these little scenes, especially in the beginning. It's like you made this boring episode 90 minutes, and we were like, boom, okay, this is how it's going to be. You're setting the pace. I understand the first scene is always to get everybody in, 90 minutes. Everything else can be, 50, 40, fine. And then the Malaysia scene, so they're like, oh, they're really developing and telling people, this is where it came from. This is how you have to believe it. Still waiting.
Yeah. Nothing's gonna happen. Because when you think about it, when you look at episode 1, the whole thing about none of them ate flour. Like Joel didn't have pancakes that morning. Little girl never ate any of the cookies the old lady made. That's why she didn't get infected. All that stuff. She wasn't feeding the grandmother bread or whatever. Like that's why they didn't get infected. And then when you shift over to Malaysia, they said it came from a flour factory. It's like, okay, so they're building up to something here, and no, it just stopped there. But I did enjoy that they started exploring that. I thought that was better done than in the game, because in the game we just got like a credit intro and that's it.
And this I think
pretty cool.
And this goes to my point of budget, because depending on how he did it, if every episode, was already budgeted out and saying, okay, we're gonna do this, 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 and this, we're gonna start with this, and then they realized halfway through, because that happens a lot, even in television series on like the 9th season, they realize, oh crap, we just ran out of budget. So the first 3 episodes, they're like, yeah, no problem, catering this, boom, beam, bam, boom, and then they're like, we have no more money.
Probably to kick a dead horse too, but could also be because of COVID. Considering this was produced during the whole COVID time, and a lot of companies were kind of especially the movie industry was struggling a little bit with budgeting. So that could have had a little bit to do.
That makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
know
Ali
there was a lot
can
of
answer that
struggle.
question, but was there anything you thought the
No.
game did better than the game? No, I don't think so. So so yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it for our Last of Us review. Now listen, I don't know what you guys think, but when season 2 does come out, I don't want to watch it because I don't give a fuck. And I know where it's going, and I won't like it. And it's not because
I
it's
feel
not
like I
it's
would
not
have
because
to
Joel's dead, but it's he dies. I don't give.
What?
I'll fucking spoil it for you people. It sucks.
You didn't know
but,
this?
But no,
I thought he was going on a golfing trip.
it's not because of any of that, but it's also like this. If we're gonna review things, it doesn't mean we're just gonna review things we think we're gonna like. We have to review shit that's gonna be crappy. Also, maybe we'll have fun dunking on it. You know. So when season 2 comes out, I'll probably still review it. Next up is The Mandalorian, right? Season 3. Have you guys been keeping up to date with it or not yet?
Not yet.
I've only seen the first episode.
Okay, I'm gonna be.
There's only 2 out right now.
So I guess when we're gonna have the podcast about it would be like what, a couple episodes into it, just right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm gonna binge watch the next 3 episodes, and the next review we do will be the first 3 episodes.
When did they come out? Every Wednesday? Every Sunday?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure.
Ali, you watching Mandalorian? No.
No.
Oh, okay. So that's the last time you guys are gonna see her.
Oh, we need someone who's not a Star Wars fan in his opinion.
I'll see you guys on 2.
What's with the little green worm? All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. That was it, though. The Last of Us. So the consensus seems to be quite all over the place.
I've been seeing that like, a lot of people find it fantastic.
No, I mean amongst our group.
Oh no, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be every Wednesday because the last one came out. The newest episode came out today, and then the next one's coming out next Wednesday.
So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you guys next time.
Later.